Hi guys, I don't know what I'm going to do today, but I thought I'd just start. I do know I'm going to be stamping on some tissue paper and I'm going to apply it to here with some liquid matte medium. But I was just going to give the whole thing a coat of clear gesso for a start. Okay, I'm going to stamp up some tissue paper. Now I have quite a few stamps in the shop that you could do this with, and what I'm looking for in this one is some textures like these. Crafty Individuals have some, Chapel Road stamps have one, and this one from Our Daily Bread Designs have them. They're all in the shop. I'm actually going to use one of my Stamping Up stamps from a long time ago, and I actually prefer these off their block, and I need to take this one off their block because it doesn't give good impressions otherwise. I'm going to just stamp it all over here. I'm going to have to use archival because I'm actually going to put this onto my art journal page with some matte medium, the liquidy type matte medium, to create some shapes and textures on there. And I'm also going to put on using an embossing ink. I'm going to put on some of this gold, and I've got a pale gold here. This is a Ranger, just called Embossing Pearl Gold. Actually, I might use that one, I'm not sure. And I've also got Queen's Gold, which is much more intense. So I'm just going to stamp this randomly all over. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect, because mostly I'm going to be putting and shaping this, so there'll be lots of wrinkles and what have you in it, so don't get too carried away about what it looks like. And I could use black, but I kind of like this sepia. And as with art journaling, you never know, I might even have any of this on there by the time I'm finished. I might hate it and have to paint it all out, or gesso it all out, emboss it by Ranger. And this is one my old cruddy had, because I tend to get them all messed up. Put some of that on. Like I said, I don't really care where this goes. And all I'll be doing is, it's showing up colour because I've left some of that sepia on there, is shaking some of this gold on. I might even see if some of that's a little bit wet, put some over there. And embossing it, after looking at that, I think I actually like the way these bits turned out. And because archival ink is an oil-based ink, even though this is tissue paper and the moisture soaks in there really quickly, I kind of like the way that it gives me little pieces where it's caught on the gold rather than a harsher look, because I'm using quite a bright shiny gold. If you used a duller one, it would look better. I kind of like how it's just caught on bits and pieces, so I might do my stamping with just the archival and take it from there. Now if you've used your embossing ink on this, you don't want to ruin it by putting your pad on it again, so you need to wash that off before you start into it. Still don't know what I'm doing, but I have used that stamp on here. I have embossed it in different ways. You can do this sort of thing to make pretty wrapping papers too. It's lots of fun. And you can also use it, and I'll probably do it in another art journal page, where when you want to insert words into something that's got quite a lumpy, bumpy surface, you can stamp your words, and because this goes transparent when you put it down, and you can just glue over it and put it into your work. I have decided, I got out these new Tim Holtz cards, which are part of his new collection, and they've actually got all sorts of pictures on them, and they're large cards that you can use in your art journaling, altered art, etc. If you haven't got photos of your own. But I thought I might use those in there, I think. But I'm going to use this tissue paper and glue it down and wrap it round and see what happens there. I'm pretty haphazard with what I do. You don't have to be as bad as I am, but that's me all over. So this also will dry clear, and I just want to get some crinkles and things going on this page. I should have really marked where I would have liked to have put those photos so that I don't get too many wrinkles and crinkles underneath, but the card is quite, that these are made out of is quite strong, so it'll sit over the top. I like getting crinkles and wrinkles. Yummy texture there, and I'd like it to have this kind of background on it. Just make it up as you're going along. If you don't like a piece of what you're doing, like this, just glue a bit over top of it. Be careful around the crease of the book. You don't want it too bulky in there, and you definitely don't want it to have bubbles or something so it'll catch. This will look very kind of subdued and smoky because the matte medium hasn't dried, but when it dries it'll dry much more intensely. This is nearly dry but not quite. And I have some product left over as I'm making a configuration box and doing some stenciling, so I thought I'd just use it on this page. I'm going to use this one by Tim Holtz because it kind of reflects what we're doing down here, and we'll just use up this product here. You won't have seen the other video yet because it's just in production, but what I'm using here is modelling cream and Viva Decor Metal Effect and Gold Iron. Okay, I've been thinking about what I'm going to do with this layout and playing around with these Tim Holtz cards. And I've had these in all sorts of places, but then I've decided I'm just going to put them straight in. I usually like to offset things. Now I'm just going to stick them down with some multi-medium. You can get it from Ranger or Ranger multi-medium, or Cleaning Helmet's got a multi-medium too, also put out by Ranger. But I want them to be down there. But I thought I'd drag out my scratcher and distress these up a little. I think I'm going to be using some Liquid-X glazing medium and bringing some colours over there, and maybe even a little UT. I often like to take images like this, heat up my UT with a bit of flex in it, pour it over, and then get my heat gun and scoop that UT all around the page to create some neat effects, and then bring a bit of colour or a bit of something over the top. That's where I'm going with it at the moment. Let's see where I end up. Now I'm going to, I've scratched these up a bit, and I'm just going to use a bit of stain on them to put a bit of colour in those scratches, because I want it to have a little bit more texture. Victorian Velvet, that one I use some Vintage Photo on. I've had the occasional bottle of this that it looks green, but I found when you put it out first it looks green, but if you shake it and shake it and shake it up and then put it through your through the dabber on the top, it goes to the right colour again. I don't know why it does that, I must ask. The reason why I'm using this colour on this one is I just want her to look a little bit more feminine. I kind of like the colours, and I'll probably glaze over the top in similar colours coming through here, and his colours coming through there, and kind of meld them out in the middle. And of course, because this is one of his cards, it's got that finish on it, so where I haven't scratched, it's going to resist it. So I changed my mind, I think. I'm not really sure what I'm doing. So I decided I'm going to use some of this distress paint and see what I end up with. Distress paints are going to be fluid while they're wet, but once they dry they are going to stay there permanent. So dry that and see what we come up with. I can fill in and put another layer on. So that's using Tim Holtz Distress Paints in the Vintage Photo and the Victorian Velvet. Tim Holtz Perfect Cool Mists. These are a favourite of mine, so and I want to control where it goes, so I'll use my finger. Take a little bit of that out. Don't want it quite so raspberry looking. And I've used, I'm going to use the heirloom gold on this side. It's getting a bit low, I'll have to get myself a new one. So I'll just flick it on. Get that gold going. I think I'll put some of that over here as well. This is all you do, is you just play with your things until you get them how you like them. All I ever do. I never know what's going to turn up. You probably can't see some of the effects of that. It kind of looks cool because we've got the gold and the stamping in behind, and we've got some streaks going on here. Yeah, I like what's happening, but it's very hard to see those reflective surfaces when it comes to video. So maybe the photos at the end will catch that part. I'm still going to use Beauty, and I'm still going to use probably some glaze over this because I want to use a darker colour, and when you put glaze in your paint, I want to paint it all over with the glaze and the dark colour combined, and then take it off so I can get detail into all these creases and crevices that I've got with the tissue paper that's in behind. You could do it like that. You can also run your ink pads over the top, like your distress pads, and spray it. Dry enough now to put a glaze on it. What I've done is I've got some paint, could be any sort of paint, and I'll put some glaze in there just so that it doesn't dry. It gives me a chance. Now this is quite black, so if I don't like this, I'm going to end up taking this all away altogether and gessoing the whole thing out. Put some of this on here. We'll do this side first, see what we come up with. I'm not really liking that. It's not doing what I want it to do. So we're going to try something else. That wasn't the look I was going for. This is what you should do. This is exactly what you should do. You should try this, all these different things, till you get exactly what you want on your page. And don't be afraid, because most of these things are water soluble, so you get a chance to spray and remove before you've committed yourself. And I just wanted to, because some of that dark has clung to this side, I wanted to make sure that I had continuity by letting a little bit of the dark cling on this side. It was not cool because I thought I was recording and I wasn't. But I'm going to tell you what I've done here. I've actually used some archival ink on here. I've just given it a frame by putting it around the edges. You want to start it with your light colours first. And I've used black, rose madder and sepia. And if you don't like any, all I've done is apply it with my fingers, as you can tell. So you can run it over to get some colours going. You can blend it, and you can use a blending tool if you don't like to use your fingers like I do, and get those colours mixed in. Now if you don't like something you've made, you get some alcohol and just take it away, because it will take, alcohol will take away any cut. If you get it a bit dark in places and you want to take some off, you just take it off with the alcohol. I like dark colours, so this isn't going to be a problem for me. Have dark colours around the place. But if you get a bit carried away, you make a mistake, or you don't like something, just you can take those colours away. And I put some around these photos because I've scratched them up and I put them in, but they're going to get totally lost on that page because I've made it so rich. So now I need to give it a frame. But first, because this is oil based and I've got it over a lot of products, the archival is oil based, I'm going to just let it dry for a little bit. There's the textures going on. Reflective surfaces. You can still see here where those the original stamping's coming through. You can see a little bit of the Perfect Pearl sprays. It's all happening in there, and it's much easier to see it in real life than it is on video. I've stuck down my pictures, but I want to do a little bit around them. I'm going to use some of Tim Holtz, or one of Tim Holtz stencils. This one is the splatters one. Just put some of this around. I'll have to use archival again. I'll just use Stays On ink cleaner, same way you'd use for your stamps if you were using Stays On. Sometimes I also sprinkle this in places and make effects on my work. Okay, I want to run some beauty across this project. I mean, you could put Perfect Pearl Medium on there and sprinkle it on, and what I'm going to do could potentially ruin it, but I'm actually going to do it in my melting pot. So I'm going to put some, I've put it on a high setting. I'm going to put some Yeti in there, Ranger Ultra Thick Embossing Enamel. Because I'm running over the page, I might put a bit of flex in it, which gives it a little bit of flexibility. But when I get it on there, I'm probably going to chase it around with my heat blending tool, my heat tool anyway, and blend it through the page. This could cause some of this the other things I've done on the back to react. We'll see what happens. But at the moment, I'll just let that melt down. Okay, we're on to the last bit. I have put my UT on, I've scooted it all around the place. I hope you can see that. I think you see much more detail in person, but I hope you can see that there is what that's done, because it looks kind of cool. I did want to highlight these areas a little bit more, and I'm going to do that by putting archival over the UT. And I might even heat it just a little bit more to make sure that that archival ink sinks down into that UT, just to see what it does. There could be words, there could be lots of things going on this page, and you could have gone through and highlighted some of this, but I'm kind of liking it how it is, and I'll put something on it, something else on it later. So this is as far as I'm going to go with it. So let's just do a little bit of that. You'll see how this colours it up. Goes on to that. It just gives me more definition on the edges of the work. I hope you can pick that up, because it's really hard to show it with the reflect you get when you're videoing. And I haven't got any fancy lighting, and I want to put a bit of this coffee around this other one. I might bring in a little of that, what colour was that? Rose madder as well, just to give the whole 2 pages a bit of continuity. There's a little bit of rubbing alcohol, because I didn't want quite that much black up there. Yeah, I think that's it for me. That's all I'm going to be doing on this page for now. You get the idea? Thank you very much for watching. If you've got any questions, please ask. I'm only happy to answer them.